What's up, guys? My name's Ray Garrison. Today, we're gonna talk about how to record pro vocals at home. All right. I'm not a normal YouTuber. I'm an artist. I have a band called Silos. We're signed to Judge and Jury Records. We have an album out, a bunch of dope features. Anyways, I'm gonna try to teach you all some helpful, real because I know a lot of y'all be lacking when it comes to recording vocals, even pros like pro singers and. My goal is to teach you what I know because I'm pretty good at recording vocals. And I learned from the best, who's Howard Benson, who's amazing at producing vocals. So I'm going to share some knowledge with you guys, okay? How to record pro vocals at home. All right, you don't need a fancy studio. You don't even need the nicest gear. Today, I have a SM7B. It's going into a Cloudlifter. And I'm just using my Apollo Twin. Cool. And I have a U87. I recommend getting this mic, or Universal Audio has a similar mic instead of a condenser mic if you're in like not a good treated room. Like this room is open. It's terrible for recording vocals. So yeah, don't use a condenser mic unless you're like, really treating your room. All right. Now, first thing is first, I'm going to use Pro Tools, but I'm going to try to explain this in a way where you can use whatever DAW you have, okay? We're going to open it up. Now here, the important part is you want to be at bit 24, sample rate 48. This is the industry standard, so just do it. All right, we're going to open up a track. Now the correct way to do this in Pro Tools is to do import audio, but if you change your settings, you can drag and drop it and it'll save it in your audio files folder. But you have to change a setting. I guess I should show you because if you're going to copy me and do this, you want to do this part or else it's not going to save your audio file in the folder. And then, one day you're going to try to open up your track and you're going to be missing shit. Yeah, I think you go import right here. Automatically copy files on import. Okay, so now you've done that. Cool. Well, now I'm going to set up. I have to set up this master track for my streaming video, so don't worry about this part. Okay, first thing you want to do is turn this down 15 to minus 15. You want headroom. We're recording vocals. You just want headroom, okay? If you're leaving that shit at 0 and trying to record vocals on it, you're fucking crazy. All right, cool. Now we got that at minus 15-ish. Now I'm going to make I don't know. Let's make 7. I'm going to make 7 tracks. Okay? Now I'm going to make next an aux track. If you're in Ableton, you can group your 7 tracks and do it that way. All these tracks are going to go to this aux. So if you're in Ableton, you can send it to a group. We got our aux. I'm going to tell it. I already have all these made, but you can just pick any bus channel. And that's fine. Cool. Now all these are going to go here. First thing I like to put on my vocal is auto-tune. But I'm going to encourage you guys to not sing with auto-tune on. I know everybody does it. But when you go in the studio with pros like Howard, they're going to not give it to you. And it's better. It might be more uncomfortable at first, but it makes you sing better. So just trust. All right, so we want to figure out the key of the song. There's a software called Mixing Key, which will analyze your track and tell you the BPM and the key. So watch. All right, we have our tempo of 150 and our key of D minor. So I'm going to set D minor here. I personally like to have the flex tune up. It makes it sound more natural. And then, maybe we'll start at 12, 45 and 12. Should be a good start. So I didn't set this up, but it's fine. I'm using my Apollo Twin, so cool. Problem is now we have latency. Oh, and I know why we have latency. It's because auto-tune. You have to go to settings, use low latency. Now look at that. Woo! Cool. All right. And now that that's set, I'm going to copy this to all the other channels. I recommend you label your stuff. Just take the time. Now I'm going to duplicate this. Now this is going to be my record track. All right. And I like to color code it red just so I know where I'm at. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to record on here, and I'm going to, when I got to take, I'm going to drag it down here, and we're going to mute these because this is these are just where we save our takes. Okay. All right. So we're on here, and first thing is first, let's add an EQ. I like FabFilter Pro Q3. You can use whatever you want. We're going to keep this really simple. I'm going to show you guys how simple this really can be. And then after the EQ, we're going to open up a compressor. We can do the 1176. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah! Okay. We want a quick release, and maybe right about there. Yeah, 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 yeah. Cool. Yeah, way up. All right. Now that we're getting ready to record, we want to look at our levels. What I see on my preamp is the same as what I see here, and we're just gonna look at it here. I'm gonna sing as loud as I can, and I want it to barely touch the yellow. Hey! See, we're peaking. So I'm going to turn my preamp down. I'll just do it here so you guys can visually see it. Hey! We're still peaking. So because I have the Cloudlifter, it's making the signal hot. So I'm going to turn them. Now we have a little more wiggle room. Hey! Barely touching the yellow. That's where we want to be. So what are we at? 42? Cool. Now we got our level good. Hey, yeah, yeah! Barely touching yellow. Looks good. We got our track at -14. Now we can get going. If you want some effects, you know, we can do that real quick. Let's open up 2 more aux channels. Typically, people want delay and reverb. So we'll do verb. We'll do delay. Delay. Cool. Okay. For a verb, you can use whatever you want, man. Like, find a verb you like. Make it your sound. Don't just use what I'm using, because I don't even know what I like. Let's stick with Waves plugins. Our verb's classic. Okay, so yeah. Woo. Hey. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah.
Daddy, chill.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, it's a little short. Cool. I increased the time. Okay, now to delay. We'll use H delay. This has an annoying noise, so turn it to off, the analog part. That just makes a stupid noise. I don't know why it's a default. Dotted eighth. I don't know. Like usually, like a half note or a quarter note's good. Half note kind of makes it sound like there's like an ad lib happening. 1, 1. Check. Check. You know, you can filter it. I think we'll do a quarter for this. Yeah. It's a lot of feedback. You can make it ping pong. Yeah. Still a lot of feedback. Yeah. 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 Something like that. Okay. Mute these for a second while I'm talking. Okay, cool. That's a pretty good setup. What I usually do is I actually don't send my record track to the aux, because it kind of adds more latency, especially as time goes on. And let's say I'm doubling a track later, then that track's going to be hitting the compressor at the same time my live take is, and I just want to be independent of everything. So now we got a record track live, and we're going to a lead vocal aux. Lead aux. We'll label that to be all nice and neat. If you want to be extra fancy, you're going to want to line up the track on the grid. So we made the tempo 150. No, we didn't. So now I'm going to check with the metronome, see if it's on the grid. Oh, in Pro Tools, you have to create a click track. And you can just, best way to do it is look at a big waveform. We're on. We're good. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to start close to the beat. All right, I just checked my preamp level for a loud part. All right, I just checked my preamp for a loud part, and I know that this first verse is loud, so we probably won't have to change it. But when we get to a quiet part, we're going to want to change it. They put me in a soulless chamber, try to medicate my anger. I spoke about my life to strangers, another self-absorbed entertainer. All right, there's one take. I like to do like a phrase or like a little bit at a time. I don't like to do more than like 4 lines at a time because I want every word to be pronounced. I want you to understand every word, and if there's one part of a word you can't understand, I'm going to redo it and get it right. And you should do the same. Don't slack. So now I'm just going to do 7 takes of that. All right. Now let's hear what we got. Just a test. They put me in a soulless chamber, try to medicate my anger. I spoke about my life to strangers, another self-absorbed entertainer. They put me in a soulless chamber, try to medicate my anger. I spoke about my life to strangers, another self-absorbed entertainer. They put me in a soulless chamber. I think I like to really compress my vocals. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some Avox here too. And this is going to just beef it up even more. And I'm going to put Avox. See, since we're doing two different vocals, since we're probably going to end up doubling in the end, I might want to put these Avox on the individual channels so each one has a little bit of compression, especially since we're not using analog compression going in. They put me in a soulless chamber, try to medicate my anger. I spoke about my life to strangers, another self-absorbed entertainer. Yeah, okay, cool. So we're making the template as we go. So I wanted more compression all around without having to bust this one too hard. So I just took this Avox and I'm adding they put me in a soulless chamber, 6 to 12 dB of compression with Avox, and I'm gonna copy and option drag that to all the individual channels, so that way each individual channel is getting its own compression. All right, we got 2. We'll do 7 and then we'll comp. Another self-absorbed entertainer. I don't like how I'm saying tainer. So let's see. How could I make it stronger? Another self-absorbed entertainer. I'll put some grit on it now. You know, we got 3 the old way. I'm going to try something new now. I'm going to try putting grit on it. Another self-absorbed entertainer. Might be over the top, might not be. But you just gotta try. We got 4, we'll do 3 more. You don't have to do 7. I just picked a lucky number. You could do 4, you could do 10, you could do 20, you could do 3. Cool. I'm trying to pronunciate every syllable of every word. You want to be... We got our 7 takes now, all right? So I should have done this in the beginning, but we'll do it now. It's fine. I'm going to create 2... I'm going to duplicate these tracks. I make 2 more new tracks without the active or alternate playlist. And we'll call this lead Vox. I just started twitching. And lead Vox double. Okay? So when we find takes we like, we're going to drag them onto these tracks. And we can color code them different. I like baby blue for vocals. I just do. I think because in Serato, like acapella, like it looks like blue. Maybe it's green, but it's close. Anyways. So yeah, now we'll just go through our takes and we'll find what we like and we'll comp it together. They put me in a soulless chamber. I'm just going to look for this first line, so. They put me in a soulless chamber. I like the feeling, but the tuning's. They put me in a soulless chamber. I would encourage you to go for vibe over pitch, because pitch can be corrected. Vibe can't. So I like that one. Since I don't like these, I'll just mute them so I can kind of remember what I like. I don't know. If this is, let's say we're going to make this the lead. If these are doubles, let's listen to how they sound with the lead. Maybe one will stick out more. They put me in a soulless chamber. Cool. They put me in a soulless chamber. I like the beginning of 4 and the end of 5. They put me in a soulless chamber. That's cool too. So what I say, I liked the beginning of 4 and the end of 5. Well, then let's just do it. They put me in a... Typically, when you're double about like 10 dB quieter, especially since these are both going to a compressor. They put me in a soulless chamber. That works for me, man. Oh, wait. Let's hear it again. They put me in a soulless chamber. If you want, you can nudge your double to match your lead. We'll do that in another video, the vocal line. But, you know, I just saw that, so I like to edit as I go as much as possible. Try to medicate my anger. The timing's off, but I like the vibe of that one, so let's see how these two stack up together. Notice how Pro Tools wanted to mess up my timing. On grid mode, we want it on relative grid. You can click it up here, or you can hit F4 on your keyboard. Okay, so we're gonna use that take and this take. Let's see how they sound. Try to medicate my anger. Okay, cool. So there we have it. If you want to be really tedious, you want to get rid of all the parts where you're not singing because it's going to be noise. And crossfades in Pro Tools, you hold command and go to the edge of it. Actually, you don't have... Oh, I just hold command because it makes it bypass the grid mode. Because if I don't hold command, it's just going to want to jump to the nearest grid point. Every DAW has crossfading, so, you know. I get rid of all my breaths, but some people like them, so keep it if you want. I'm not keeping mine. We didn't really cover mixing in this. We just did the basic fundamentals. I'm just showing you, like, you really only need an EQ, and we didn't even EQ it yet. Like, this is just compression. You know, if you want to, like, EQ it now, you know, typically you just want to, like, you don't want to do too much, you know, like usually you just want to boost some highs. So like, let's hear this.
They put me in a soulless chamber, try to medicate my anger. I spoke about my life to strangers, another self-absorbed entertainer. They put me in a soulless chamber, try to medicate my anger. I spoke about my life to strangers.
Now we added that high. Now it's giving us a little bit of a S problem. So after the EQ, we can put a de-esser. And we can stick with waves. Theirs is just called de-esser.
They put me in a soulless chamber, try to medicate my anger. I spoke about my life to strangers, another.
So yeah, you want it to basically just barely hit like 6. It can go a little over, but you don't want it to be attenuating the whole time like this.
They put me in a soulless chamber.
You only want it to happen on the S's, so.
They put me in a soulless chamber, try to medicate my anger. I spoke about my.
It's okay if it barely moves on other syllables, but you know, you want it to be very minimal and mostly on S's. Cool.
They put me in a soulless chamber, try to medicate my anger. I spoke about my life to strangers.
And that is part 1 to recording your own vocals. You know, like we just created a template, which you can save the template for future use. And we got 7 takes and we comped it together. We got a rough little good enough mix to be inspired enough to listen to and record the song to. And in the next part, we'll get deeper into editing, tuning, and mixing vocals. So click over for part 2.